Hey, what is up, mortals? It is me, Dylan, here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 3 of What If Dobby and Shoto Switched Places. I just want to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So, we begin. Kicking things off right from where we left off, Dobby would have spent his next few months training. Dobby adapted, despite his physical scarring and the huge weight of his father's expectations, and trained relentlessly throughout the following months, never truly forgiving his father for all of the abuses he endured throughout his life, but doing his best to embrace the current set of circumstances. In spite of Endeavor's changes as a person, growing and learning to care more for his children in light of Shoto's sudden disappearance, he was still just as harsh, determined to either break Toyo's notion that he could become a hero or refine his skills, crafting him to something far more ideal. Something that got to Toyo around this time was just his physical deformities. He saw it as a branding, illustrating his firm lack of control and his rough upbringing. Every morning, he'd recoil, staring at himself before putting his clothes on for the day. Weeks went by, and despite rough patches, Toya endured until finally the summer was coming to an end. Toya was sitting at the table within his family's home when he was approached by his father with a letter in hand. Well, I've got good news and bad news. I'll get straight into it. He'd look back to the sheet of paper and place a finger over the text and skim the sheet before he'd remark, Toya, you've been accepted into the upcoming entrance exam. Unfortunately, due to the unusual circumstances surrounding you being admitted into the course, you will be required to perform in both the written and the practical exam. We hope to see you there. Endeavor let out a sigh and tossed the paper on the table, crossing his arms while it fell down, missing the table and falling to the ground where Toyo went to pick it up. He began to look it over, to confirm those details himself, before his father continued. It seems my continued requests and my push to see you slotted to skip the exams were rejected. This upcoming exam is on the 25th of February, in about a week. We'll need to get you trained up as much as possible in the next 3 days, and then let your muscles recover for the physical aspect of the examination. Enji was always quick to come up with a plan associated with training of any variety. Toya would look up to his father before it continue. During that time frame, you'll be studying any and all material I provide while your muscles recover. Understand? You are to excel during both tests. I will never accept you skating into UA by simply passing. Understood? Toya figured as much. He'd been instructed and such throughout the entirety of his training. He wasn't expecting to actually have to do the proper exam. His father made it very clear that it was highly improbable that they would force him to conduct the exam simply because of the good word Endeavor would have when vouching for his son. The question in Toya's mind changed. His father seemed surprisingly calm about the situation. Perhaps it wasn't an accident that events shaped up in this manner? Either way, he'd nod to his father and remark simply, Yeah, I can handle it. I'll start studying tonight after we finish up training, Dobby said in a disengaged tone. He was happy, sure, but he wouldn't let that go to his head. Understanding that there was still plenty of work to do, he decided to respond accordingly. His tone was never something his father particularly liked. Despite that, Enji nodded and made his way out, simply gesturing for his son to follow. The next few days of training were far more intense, requiring the need for those break days that Endeavor planned for. Initially, Toya believed that it was far too much to simply let his body recover, but once he had finally gotten through the last set of trials on the final day of training, he understood why his father gave him that recovery time period. The various trials and exercises had put Toya in a far more controlled setup than when he was training on his own time. He had finally managed to properly control the temperature of his flames, learning how to best apply his fire so not burn himself, but still blast some impressive flames. That being said, he still struggled with blasting out waves of fire in the same way his father does, without causing some sort of self-injury, namely to his arms and upper body. Still, he knew that compared to many of the other kids arriving at the school, he'd be leagues above most of them. That much he fully expected, at least in terms of core control. He wasn't looking forward to the written exam, While he was a very punctual student and usually scored well on his father's surprise written tests, he always dreaded them. He felt he was a far better hands-on learner and found himself getting easily distracted when staring at a sheet of paper or a computer screen for too long. Despite that, he did his best to study, utilizing the time frame he had been given to the best of his ability to heal and recover. Honey is a free browser add-on available on Google, Opera, Firefox, and Safari. If it's a browser, it has Honey. Honey automatically saves you money when you check out on sites like Amazon, Papa John's, and Kohl's. Wherever you shop, it's a good chance that Honey can save you money. All you have to do when you're checking out at these stores is to click that little orange button, and it will scan the entire internet and find discount codes for you. If there's a coupon code, they will find it. And if there's not a coupon code, you can rest assured that you are getting the best price possible. If you install Honey right now, you can save like $50 to $100 on your shopping. Doing nothing. There's literally no reason not to install Honey. It takes 2 clicks. 10 million people use it, and it has over 100,000 5-star reviews. Unless you hate money, you should install Honey. The 25th came around, and Toya arrived at UA for his tests, and similarly to Izuku, he would marvel at the building from the outside. He'd always wanted to come here, and standing outside the gates felt like a dream. He got plenty of awkward stares from some of the other students, making their way past him for the obvious scarring, and for looking a good deal older than the other kids showing up for their entrance exams. Regardless, he'd press on, passing by 2 students, one of which was floating in the air, and the other was standing by, with a large smile over her face. Are you okay? Ah! 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 The boy was screaming his head off while floating a few inches off the ground. Toya looked back over his shoulder, watching as she gently guided him towards the ground. I stopped you with my quirk. Sorry I didn't ask you first, but I figured you wouldn't mind me catching you. Deciding not to eavesdrop any longer, Toya would make his way inside of the building and towards the exam orientation room. Prior to sitting down, he was handed an orientation card with his name on it, along with where he'd be conducting his practical exam. Taking an open seat at the front of the audience, he pulled out his phone to go over a few notes related to the test he'd been taking within the next few hours. He didn't have any interest in socializing with the others here. His goal was to excel, and forming connections with his opponents didn't do him any good. After a few minutes of waiting, the lights would come on, and a massive monitor would light up behind the speaker stand, with the UA symbol proudly glowing in its usual gold coloring with a blue background, further emphasizing its prestige. The hero known as President Mike got to the stage, and Toya quickly put his phone away while looking up towards the hero, ready to get this ball rolling. What's up, UA candidates? Thanks for tuning in to me, your school DJ. Come on, and let me hear ya! Silence overwhelmed the room. It seemed nobody was really in a terribly optimistic mood. It checked out. Everyone was about to conduct 2 very serious tests. Keeping it mellow, huh? That's fine. I'll skip straight to the main show. Let's talk about how this practical exam is gonna go down, okay? Are you ready? Yeah! Again, silence, minus some whispering and a clearly distinctive muttering sound coming from the upper rows. Toya was already just a little bit annoyed at the level of disrespect being given to a notable pro hero. How were people already tuning out the information being given? So cool! I listen to his radio show every day of the week. It's so crazy nuts that all of the UA teachers are pro heroes. Will you shut up? Like your application said, today you rockin' boys and girls will be out there conducting 10-minute mock battles in super hip urban settings. Gird your loins, my friends. After I drop the mic here, you head to your specified battle center. Sounds good? Silence once again. Toya almost felt bad that time. Despite that, even he looked down at his card, checking which center he'd be in. Group A. Okay! Nobody properly responded, by the sounds of whispering breaking out again, mostly originating from the same people up above. I see. They're splitting us up so we can't work with any of our friends.
Yeah, you're right. Our examinee numbers are one after the other, but we're assigned to different battle centers. Get your eyes off my card. Damn, I was really looking forward to crushing you. Okay. Let's check out your targets. There are 3 types of faux villains in every battle center.
The screen in the background shifted, adjusting to show various silhouettes of the villains in question, which shifted into a pixel art animation of President Mike destroying them and getting points for each one taken down. Toya looked down to his card again as the explanation continued.
You'll earn points based on their level of difficulty, so better choose wisely. Your goal in this trial is to use your quirk to raise your score by shredding these faux villains like a mid-song guitar solo. But check it! Make sure you're keeping things heroic! Attacking other examinees is a UA no-no, you dig?
The student raised his hand. The spotlight shined down on him, even before Present managed to call on him.
Excuse me, sir, but I have a question. Hit me!
On the printout, you've listed 4 types of villains, not 3. With all respect, if this is an error on official UA materials, it is shameful. We are exemplary students. We expect the best from Japan's most notable school. A mistake such as this won't do! That same student would then turn around and point directly at that same student from earlier, the one with the spiky green hair. Additionally, you with the unkempt hair.
Huh?
You've been muttering this entire time. Stop that! If you can't bother to take this seriously, leave. You're distracting the rest of us. Chuckling filled the theater. Toya simply shrugged at the interaction. He didn't need to call the kid out like that, but it was the right thing to do. It's all Toya was thinking while he could very clearly hear the sounds of people whispering above him. It was disrespectful.
Sorry. All right! Examinee number 7111. Thanks for calling in with your request. The 4 villain type is worth 0 points. That guy's just an obstacle we'll be throwing in your way. There's one in every battle center. Think of it as a hurdle you should try to avoid. It's not that it can't be beaten, but there's kinda no point. I recommend my listeners to try and ignore it and focus on the ones topping the charts.
That student who rose his hand would simply bow and return back to his seat, not before saying aloud,
"Thank you very much. Please continue."
Once again, people began to whisper back and forth about the exam. Some people were comparing it to a video game or sporting event.
That's all I got for you today. I'll sign off with a little present, a sample of our school motto. As General Napoleon Bonaparte once laid down, a true hero is one who overcomes life's misfortunes. Now that's a tasty soundbite. You ready to go beyond? Let's hear it plus ultra!
Silence filled the air again.
Good luck! Hope you practice hitting more than just books.
With that, everyone's taken to a set of buses and escorted to their respective training areas, where the real test would begin. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things I'd like to go over before the video ends. If you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials have got you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, then I'd like to extend you an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being that we only accept members from 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interests by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching and have a great day.